All right. I think things are on. The world turns. Hey. Okay. Hi, everybody. Sorry I was away yesterday, but we're back. All right. We got the old catch-a-rooney to do. The old catch-up. Hey. How are you doing, Malcolm? Welcome 4.20. I don't know. Yeah, happy 420. Yeah, and may that 420 be with you. Yeah. So, if you have a one-page comic idea that you can put one or two sentences, put it here in the chat or in the comment section below the video. That's the old standard information. All right. I was away yesterday, so it's good to be back. Pardon me. Yeah. Okay. So, let me go back for the last couple of days. 2 days ago, I started this page. This is the 3-prompt page that I had started in camera here on, what day is it? It's Thursday. I had started this in camera on Tuesday. And, and then Tuesday turned out to be a day. So, anyhow, I got this done that night. And got this posted yesterday, even though I wasn't up to doing the stream. These things happen, we all have our moments, but we're back today. And last night's page was, I'll show you the original for this. Now, if you, on my Patreon is where I post all these originals and stuff all the time. So if people want to see them there, they can do that. So maybe it's boring. Maybe you don't want to see it here. I don't know. Anyways, I drew mixed media, painted whatever the hell, everything on this piece of paper. And half one way and the other half upside down, or one half upside down and the other half the other way. It's all how you look at the page, right? So this is a bit mixed media and feel good fun. And then and the suggestion for that page was bike symbol T. And that's what we came up with. Bike symbol T. Bingo. The rest of it's fun. The rest of it's just me getting to have fun. So then last night I drew this. And this is, I just sat down and because, I had a lot of sitting down to do yesterday. And I put this thing together in like a couple hours. And then last night I played in the old coloring process. And we ended up looking like this. And so I'm figuring out a whole bunch of things now at this point with digital coloring. I'm figuring out an awful lot about layers. I'm figuring an awful lot about how I can put textures in and amongst themselves. Like, there's a plaid texture in the female character on the right side that's covered by the circle. There's a plaid texture in her outfit. There's alligator skin in this guy's outfit. There's towel texture in the, towel. And while I hand did the feline fur pattern here on this character, the chain link fence that I ran across that image separates that plane so that this character, she's behind it, and the other characters are in the foreground, And then I put the smoke textures in, but I did them in four layers. So there's the one layer that goes over the front, across the foreground, and then I erased some of that out so that it covered up the lady on the right's feet, but it didn't cover up these two cats' feet. And then there's another texture that goes over the front, and works like a sort of foggy silt that goes across both of their legs too. And then there's yet another texture that goes between the foreground characters and the cat lady, and fog. And then there's another texture of fog that goes behind all of them. But the chain link fence I didn't draw in. The chain link fence I actually put in after the fact. And quite pleased with that. I'm quite pleased to be able to do that. And then BAP, I moved BAP down so it appears behind the characters. So it's sort of all these little things that I'm learning how to do to build complexity in an image, and at the same time to allow myself to further an image, to sort of give it a little more clarity from one plane to the next. So that's all the hoobla that went into that page. This week has been Monday started with the alternate dimensional doodah, pages 1 and 2. And then that was Monday's pages. And then Tuesday's page was What's It Worth, which is the scratch and sniff page from that suggestion. Yesterday's a 3-prompt suggestion, 3-word suggestion of bikes, T and symbol, badumts. And then today's suggestion is cause and effect. And I actually incorporated that into the page, cause and effect. This is going to get me a lot of hate from superhero fans, I'm sure, but I don't care. You know, it doesn't mean I don't like superhero books. It just means that we got to be a little bit realistic at some point, where there's got to be a little bit of an evaluation process when Batman is on like 1,000 issues or whatever the heck it's at now. It's just, there's a lot of regurgitation. It's just power fantasy stuff. There's the interesting and the compelling stories are the ones that, I'm not going to say deconstruct, because I really don't like deconstruction, but there's an evaluation of at least one aspect of a story. There's an evaluation of at least one aspect of what makes the definition, the definable character. And so I'm going to throw these pages in a pile. So you got to get that class breaking sound. Because that's just funny. Anyhow. Yeah, so I'm all about, like, that's why if you look at Arkham Asylum and you evaluate stability, or if you look at Killing Joke and you evaluate character stability, because at the underlying reality and the underlying truth of this character is, fetishistic fascism. That's not nice, I know. But he likes to dress up as a bat and beat up people and impose his will over a place and how he thinks the world should be. Anyhow, but yeah, there's, as soon as you start enacting, and your behavior has a direct affectation on the behavior of those around you. And I think that it's an interesting notion to pursue in looking at a character like that. And, this little power superhero fantasies where a person beats immeasurable odds, right? It goes to an extent, and at that point, it just takes on a whole level of ridiculousness. All right, now, we got a bunch of suggestions. I'm going to go to the book. We're going to the book. All right, bear my scratchy voice. It's been a week. So we're going to go to the book. I've got a bunch of suggestions pending. Whoops, I'm going to rip that page out. Get back in there, page. Just seeing that we're all caught up. There's cause and effect is way back here. Holy camoly. Now, we're pretty good here. There's Bela Lugosi Singing Rock page that we can go back to. Mouse holing page. Yeah, this one's all set, except for we can do some more sloth stuff over time. But then we got some more suggestions here recently of Jim and Gary's top 5 list. That's a page that we can do for our friends Jim and Gary. Corey Kerr as a ball in a Rube Goldberg machine. That's another one we can do. Christopher versus Evil Christopher has been suggested. I got a couple suggestions yesterday. If you're one of the people here, I forgot to write them down. I will look them up and write them down. And then there's a virtue. This is our new friend Jose Cabrera has suggested a virtual phlegm ball that lost its way to reality and forgot its lunch money. Jose is new to the stream here. I think we need to do his page. It's a crazy one, but I don't even know where to start. I don't know where to start this page, but we're gonna give it a try. Like it says at the top of the screen. Come on now, shake it up, huh? Hey! My godfather taught me to talk like that. My godfather is so okay. So so that's my idea: is a virtual phlegm ball that lost its way to reality and forgot its lunch money. That's my idea to do that page today. It's Jose Cabrera's idea, and thank you for that, Jose. Let's see, where are we at? Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to do our sponsors. I'll come back and do those at the end of the stream. Let's get crack-a-lackin'. Yeah, okay, so a virtual phlegm ball that's lost its way. Post-its. Where did they go? I'll find them. Post-its. Hey, there they are. It's okay, I found them. All right, so this is our page today. If anybody has that lost its way to reality. And then my favorite part of this, and forgot its lunch money. It's like I came here for 3 reasons. 1, 2, and I'm all out of lunch money. It's that sort of thing. That's what goes on in my head. Lunch money is such a funny concept to me. I never had lunch money to go to school with. It was such a few and far between scenario for me. And when I hear people talk about lunch money, it always seems like such a foreign concept, but at the same time, I get it. There was a survey at one school that I went to, and if I had saved up some money from running errands to a local variety store for people, then I would save that money so that when I'm at school, I can get a pack of gum, which might not seem like, a novel thing, but growing up where I did and how I did, that was a huge, huge deal. And it really, for 5 minutes, it makes you feel really good that you can offer gum to your friends, and you just feel on top of the moon for a few minutes until you realize you have no more gum. It's a kid in me going, give away all my gum. What am I doing? I don't even really like that good. Yeah. So anyhow, there's our page for our suggestion for today from Jose Cabrera. It's a virtual phlegm ball that lost its way to reality. Forgot its lunch money. Okay, so phlegm ball. What's that give us? Phlegm, coughing up, right? Yummy. Hey, hairball, cat ball. How's that? Let's look at it from that vantage point, because it's no matter what, this is a gross notion. It's and it's the kind of notion where it's like, it's one of those suggestions that someone will throw out, and it's clearly to say, ha ha, do with that, see what you can do with that, bozo. Well, I am just that bozo. So it's one of my favorite Raul Julia lines in film. It's from The Addams Family, when he says, "They say that only a fool represents himself in court. Well, Your Honor, I am that fool." Telling everyone around you you're an idiot. I love it. Okay. All right, so let's spill some of our drink on ourselves and our sugar-free liquid mix nonsense. All right. I think let's start with a cat. Let's start there. Hey, who doesn't like cats? Dog people. You know who they are. Anyhow. Yeah, so I'm going to work on the smaller page because I just can't be bothered to go and pull the larger page out that's directly behind me. Let me see. C-A-T-Z. Cats. Lovely. All right, we got a cat. Let's go. So the last page that I did, that I just showed in camera, I really, you know, when you hit that stride and you feel that moment that you just sit down and you just pencil the whole page. It's a good feeling. And it's the kind of feeling that, like, here's the green pencil, here's the red pencil. That's it. This is for Janet, I even used a ruler. And I used the circle template. I feel good about that. I feel good. Let's all just take a moment and consider that for a second. It's a big moment for me. So anyhow, I just laid this down in one. I'm just playing with shapes and forms and thinking about, because I don't have to actually make it look like and represent anybody specifically, because it's a pastiche of characters, right? Just have fun with it. So that's why it goes so quickly. When you have to fart around and make it look like somebody, you know, unless you sort of get that ingrained to you what they look like, it becomes just laborious. And right there, Chris talks himself out of ever working on a franchise book. So let's come in. I really enjoy coming into the page. So I'm going to come into the page again with this. So I'm going to turn. Oh, he's turning the paper incorrectly. So I'm going to come in to the top of the page with the cat, the initial image of the cat, and we'll get. I'm just going to expedite this one today. Roughs into it because my head still isn't 100% yet. So, but yeah. All right. So I'm just going to put down some of the sort of structure and details to sort of root the fact that the cat is lying on its side and it's got its arm turned over like so, and then start there and off we go, right? The idea here is phlegm ball. It's cat hair ball. That's what I'm going with anyhow. However, somebody else might envision this. I don't know, maybe an evil witch hairball thing. I don't know. Horror movies get funky, but I'm going with a cat hairball because I'm a big softie. If you tell anybody I said that, I'll get you. Yeah. All right. So the hairball is going to come from the cat. So I'm putting the cat down like that. And somebody's saying something. I'm missing it. Oh, it's Jim Nuan. Hey, Jim. How you doing, buddy? How are you? Hey, y'alls. I hope you've had a good day. I'll give you a call later or something. I got to sit down and do some stuff for you. All right, so I'm establishing where I'm doing Jose's page today, Jim, if you're still here. Because Jose's suggesting it and Jose is new. So Jose, I'm doing yours. A virtual phlegm ball that lost its way to reality and forgot its lunch money. The mistake I made was showing Jim's suggestion, his outlandish suggestion, to Jose first. And Jose went, oh, yeah? So now I got to draw phlegm ball. That's okay. Anything. All right. Yeah, so if I'm a little slow moving and more addled than I normally am, and I realize I'm normally addled in my wits, I apologize. We're doing our best. Don't give me evils. Today's musical selection of choice is Concrete Blonde. That album that they put out, that their big hits came off of, the rest of that album is so good. Those songs are okay, but some of the other songs on that album are just phenomenal. I missed the beginning of the show. Everything okay medically? Always working on it. Always working on it. All right. I'm going to draw a cat throwing up. I don't know how healthy that is. I had a diatribe about healthiness yesterday on our today's page, which you gave me the comment that you thought it was on fire. Maybe I'm a literalist. Maybe that's the problem, is that when I read emojis, it's like, Jim thinks this page is on fire. You put a fire emoji on it. That's all it takes from me. And then my brain goes off, the whole ludicrousness of the way my brain thinks. So I say, oh, maybe it's a hot fire. Oh. Yeah, don't ask, folks. All right, so I'm drawing a kitten playing, laying on the floor, fur puffed up, carrying on. And then it's going to have a moment, and you have to forgive me for that. But we got to get that phlegm out. But I don't just want to start with a cat gacking. So, you got to introduce people through the doorway before you hit them with the nasty business. That's the secret. Oh, it's a kitty. Oh, my God. Right? That's what we're going for here. Is that cat throwing up? Did it just gack a little person? Well, I gave away what I came up with just a second ago for next. So, yeah. So, my initial intention was to do a different page today, and then I remembered Jose's joined us and he made a suggestion. So I want to try to, whenever we've got people coming and joining us, I want to do the page for them. Sort of hey, welcome on board, there's, come on, join in. All right. So, so here's our kitten. And this is the same approach that I took yesterday when I drew this one. So I'm just going to start and move around the image. Now this is one large image, and I'm going to have a bunch of open panel shots where it's going to move from one into the next. I just want to try a little bit of a different direction here today and see where that takes us. If it takes us to Sillytown, well, population me and you, huh? I hope everybody else had a great day yesterday and that things all good in the hood. Thanks for your question, by the way, Jim. We need a random question for today. That's what we need. Cat's eye. There we go. So, cute little kitty. Ah, it's so cute. It's so cute. It makes me want to vomit. No. I gotta get that phlegm somehow. So, yeah. We're good there. So, I'm not drawing them in yet, but I want to throw the white whiskers down here as well. I didn't ink the page yesterday. I didn't do any pen or marker over top of the pencils. I simply scanned them and then darkened them up in the photo of Shappies, and that allowed me to just move forward and to not get saddled by that next stage. It doesn't always work, but I just, for the style of approach that I was taking yesterday, I just did it. It just seems like fun. Jim says, I just sent Jose the link. I know he has to get some stuff done today, but just in case, well, if Jose can't make it today, I'll be posting it. It doesn't have to be, nobody feel obligated to have to sit here while I'm doing whatever. I appreciate everybody that is able to make it by. And, Jim says, I'm going to wait for a few more folks to join in and throw out the Randy. Oh, here comes Randy, everybody. Randy. I knew a kid named Randy. He wanted to steal a friend of mine's bike. That's my reference drop of the day, kids. Somebody, come on. Leave as I choose. There's Frankly. All right. So just throwing down some of this fur pattern, deepening up the eyes on the kitten and nostril area there. Because again, if I don't, my pencils tend to become somewhat tight. So if this is where the judicial part of it comes in for me, is that pencils are good. Let's just go. As opposed to sitting down and inking it all. And at other times, I mean, if I was doing a page for somebody and they said, "No, forget it, Jack. I want you to ink that page up if you know what's good for you." Huh? Think of the rest of humanity here. What's your problem? Some ink on that paper. Do it. I'll do it. Don't be so mean. So I don't, I tend to draw pretty tight. So sometimes I feel like the inks that I do lose the pencil, like lose that energy that we put into our pencils. It's really sad when I've seen examples now of other people's pencil work and that's been inked by somebody else. And when you get an opportunity to see the two of them together and you look at it and you go, oh man, I wish that guy didn't ink that, because I really like how tight those pencils are. And there's a whole different value. There's a whole different character that comes through in that there's an expressiveness in how people move their line around on a page. And it gets lost. That gets lost when, somebody's trying to ink it, especially if somebody's trying to ink it and they don't quite get what was going on there with some of those marks. And they'll flatten out textures and they'll flatten out really cool little inferments of movement or form. So that's always rough. Frankly says, hey, do you know Randy too, Jim? Do you know Randy? Because he's tried to steal my friend PW's bike. Prepping a drawing video I made a few weeks ago, going to do a voiceover. I want to check in on how everyone is doing. Frank, if I can you do the voiceover in a falsetto voice? Can you? Would you do that for us all? Okay, today I'm going to do this drawing. That would be great. I like inks. I also like some pencils. Sometimes I prefer the original pencils that I do, but I tend to draw sketchy pencils. Well, I mean, that's the choice. That's a subjective thing to it, is that it's like a call. Like sometimes the pencils need ink. Maybe some of mine might be considered to need ink, but or color, one or the other. There's an awful lot of times that you look at something and go, what's it kind of missing? And it might be a depth or something that you can apply with some of that ink and some of the way you approach the color values, right? A lot of compositions benefit from having 3 planes of color. And what I mean by 3 planes of color is that if you've got an image and you want to add depth to your image. There's 3 core values that you can use in your composition, and it's your black, it's your gray, and it's the white. And so if you look at each one of those planes with one of those values, like you've got your character in the foreground, lots of detail, lots of business going on, and they're sitting there, great, with gradations throughout their personality. And then you've got this large void of value in the immediate background to them, but then the hills in the background are really dark. Just by differentiating those 3 planes like that, just automatically forces depth in an image, right? Sometimes ink is really helpful to bring that across more successfully than we can do with our pencils. I was going to talk briefly about losing love, but I can do it in a falsetto voice for you, Chris. Oh my goodness, he just set himself up for this. Nobody set him up. He did it himself. My goodness. You're going to get one of these, Frank. Here it comes. Hey now. Come on. Hey now. All out of love. All right, let's get back to work. Anybody that's here, chime in if that's stuck in your head now. Let's figure out all the people Frankly needs to apologize for that reference. All right, so I'm doing a little puffy-chested cat lying and playing on the floor. That's how we're starting, and I'm coming from off the page into the compositional frame of reference, which I generally do at a 1/2 inch to a 1 inch on the interior. And if you go through the pages that I posted, you'll see that I've tried to keep that consistently so that when I put them out as a collected project, there's a consistency in that shape of page and where the visual elements actually are, so that each page that you flip through it, it's not like there's this shock and awe of larger, smaller, sideways, up there, Frank's going to do apology videos next week. But pronounce it apology. It's always more exciting when you do it like that. Okay, nice little bit of texture in the cat, and we're moving on. So here he is, cute cat, purr. And then let's get crack-a-lacking on the next phase of this image. Yeah, sorry I was away yesterday, everybody. I hope I didn't spoil the broth in anybody's soup. We're back. I still posted a page. I just, I sound like today. I sounded more like yesterday. Those are my sounds. Okay, so here's our cat we've introduced. And, when I come to the post, oh my God, it's a Q. It's a Q cat. Perfect timing. So when I do go to post on this page, when I scan it, I can put a nice boxed frame that floats around from here, maybe, and from there. But just even that the cat's not confined within that. So, but why bother drawing it when I can just, there it goes. Okay. All right, so let's do the next panel. I had considered having the cat stop for a second and look like it's not feeling great, but let's just get right into the cat not feeling great. The page we're doing is the suggestion that Jose Cabrera gave us 2 days ago. And since Jose's a new suggestion, let's get cracking on it. Kat, you're welcome to throw us a 1-page suggestion at me too. Please feel free, yourself and anybody else that's here, to do so. Hi, Cat and Paste. How many cats do you have? Oh, Frank was having fun with his kids yesterday. Let's go. You're allergic. She likes pasting up pictures of cats. It's a play on words, Frank. All right, so I'm looking at some of the patterns in the cat's hair here, and I want to carry those over. Jesus, Frank. That's speciest, Frank. I don't ever make calls about any of the legitimate complaints that people have. I like to make calls about that's heightest or that's speciest. I'm an idiot. All right, so trying to get the structure of the cat's face in here, and then we're gonna drop. Forgive me. The suggestion is a virtual phlegm ball that lost its way to reality and forgot its lunch money. Now, when it comes to virtual, I could get all sci-fi with this. If I had a cat, I'd call it paste. Just call everything around you paste. Just, you got a bird, call that bird paste. You get a horse? Okay. I'm sorry for that one. A dog? I don't know if we've made paste out of dogs, but all right. So now I'm putting old Kitty's face in here as a hairball. Okay, Frank's resubscribed. He's resubscribing. That's good news. That's good stuff. Anybody have any exciting news that we want to share with everybody else? Has anybody got Frank? I know you've talked about your postings. Kat, if you've got anything, or who else has said hi? Malcolm said hi, and Jim said hi. If anybody's got stuff that they want to talk about, feel free to do so. Everybody wants to know. I have a friend. I've offended Frank's family, frankly. I'm going to lower the nose on this cat. Edited. All right. So I got a little smudgy bits under the cheek. I got marks on the eye, and I've got these tabby lines that are coming up along the side. So it's just, look at the previous image that you've put down and continue that over. That's those tiny little details. It's not a case of you have to draw everybody to look perfect and exact. It's a case of those little things, the silly little bits. Those are the ones that carry through. Let me distend this lower jaw a little bit more. Okay, so here's our cat having a tough day. Now, the virtual phlegm ball that's lost its way to reality and forgot its lunch money. That's today's suggestion. I've got it written down. Let's post it here. And the reason that I reread that is that because I come into these things blind, ostensibly, I sort of think things up as I go along, and so sometimes rereading this notion or this suggestion, or in the case of prompts, thinking about the 3 words that are in your prompt, and if you're looking to engage in that idea, Dee Dee Willingham on Mondays and Wednesdays, she has a prompt bag on her stream, and if you ask her to, she will pull things out of the prompt bag for you to work on, and you can share them with everybody, and sort of, it's very engaging. Great community there. Okay, so here's the thing about a cat. When you look at the anatomy of a cat, look at it in its I'm missing stuff. I'll get to it in a second. Look at the cat's form. Look at the volumes that make up the cat. So think about how its arms move, its shoulders move together, and bring those in together. And as soon as you can start figuring out those parts, then before you know it, presto alakazam, you'll be feline fine about your drawing. I'm sorry. All right. One-page suggestion, a cat YouTuber. All right, I'll put that in the book. Where did I put the book? A cat YouTuber. Frankly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jim Lujan is back. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. Jim has got a question for the audience. Okay, here we go. Random question number 377. Where do you think science will be in 500 years? Yeesh. That's a good question. Check the numbers. He hasn't got a 377 yet. There you go, folks. Where do you think science will be in 500 years? It's a great, fun question. I have an idea. I have an idea for an answer, but let's get some more fantabuloso insights here. There we go. One second. Joshua Kimball's here. Hey, how you doing? It's the Crumblinator. Science will figure out the Lujan verse. Oh, yes. Yeah, that's a good idea. The culture, a Californian reclamation culture in the future. We'll be finding all the animations of Jim Lujan, and they will be making three-dimensional replications of them. So you can, in the style of the Lujan verse, so you can just imagine, some of his characters. And also, they'll think that Old Gold was a real beer that they'll try to manufacture. It'll be great. That's a great suggestion. Absolutely great suggestion, Joshua. And if anybody out there is wondering, Joshua Kimball is this one. Hey, keep that handy just for when Josh visits. Frankly says that the Earth will be flooded with prehistoric creatures that science decided would be a good idea to bring back, and lots of robots. I like that. I like that a lot, frankly, but it's not going to be the cool ones. You know what? These could actually all be suggestions, folks. It'll be like the giant sloth, and it'll be the Siberian rhino unicorn. It'll be stuff like that that's brought back that really isn't as cool as everybody was hoping. Everybody's thinking dinosaurs for that kind of a thing. And no, it's not dinosaurs. It's a 30-foot tall sloth. It just sits there and gets in all your gardens, and nothing you can do about it because it's so damn big. Okay. Folks, I'm writing some of these down because at this point, let's see, frankly, Earth flooded. With prehistoric creatures, science decided would be a good idea to bring back. A good idea to bring back with lots of robots. missed the robots part. That's Frankly. And then Joshua, yours was science will figure out the Luan verse. I think, you know what, Jim, if you're keen on working on a comic page together, that might be the one to do it on. In 500 years. And that's the Kremlinator. Kremlinator. Jim says, Josh. Oh, I get it. I'm an idiot. I was writing that down like it was a suggestion. Scientists will try to convince people that rocks are interesting is hilarious. We could do, I've been thinking about something I want to put by a number of creators that I know. Would anybody be interested in doing a one-page little short book of everybody trying a one-page story out? And it's just something that I've been rolling around in my head in 500 years. Cut and paste. And then I'm trying to keep up. It will be the ones that science has the copyrights to, Josh, or Frankly says. The Kremlin overtaking the world. Oh my goodness. My brain just exploded with ideas over that. Oh, I'm just going to write Kremlinator. I'm going to write that for every one of your suggestions, Josh. That's your suggestion. It's a great suggestion. It really is. I like that you left it so open-ended. The secret Kremlin, the secret Kremlin society is going to get incorporated for sure. Josh is a shark. Oh, I highlighted the wrong one. Josh is a shark with a lisp. Oh my goodness, it takes on a whole different movie. I think everybody in the film has to have a lisp. Josh, the Kremlinator is on fire today. I know, Robot. Stop yelling at me. Scientists will discover the gnome. The gnome genome. So good. It's so good. These ideas are all so good. Jose Cabrera was on here yesterday. Yeah, the last stream that I did, Jose Cabrera came and visited. It was pretty cool. In fact, one of the sponsors for my show was, well, I'll show you. Hold on. I'm crunching my shit because I've had a problem with being low all day. All right, give me 1 second here. Let me just show you this for a second. I got sponsors for the stream now, and my sponsors are pretty cool. Let me just show you them. There's Bob's House of Fish. We stay open late for the halibut. Come on down and reel yourself in a heck of a bite at Bob's House of Fish, 201 Dundas, beautiful downtown London. And then another sponsor is Fake Explosion. Fake bands, real music. You think you know music? You don't know nothing. And featuring their latest album, Constipation. Everybody's trying to get a hold of this. It's by Jose Cabrera. Come and check it out on the Fake Explosion. Yeah, that's it. That's it. All right. Macho. Crying Macho forever. Yeah, Cabrera's pretty cool. So this is Cabrera's idea today that I'm working on. His idea is a virtual phlegm ball. I still got Fake Explosion up. All right. Cabrera's suggestion is a virtual phlegm ball that lost its way to reality and forgot its lunch money. For anybody that's, oh, hey, Rachel's joined us. Hey, Rachel. The question of the day, Rachel, number, I think it's 377. Yes, it's 377. Where do you think science will be in 500 years? And a lot of these things are so good, I've been writing them in the book as one-page suggestions. So the Crumblinator's on fire. I'm just going to set the book close and handy. Okay, so I'm just going to take a drink and then finish drawing this cat having a gack. So the suggestion again is a virtual phlegm ball that lost its way to reality and forgot its lunch money. From the man, the myth, the magic, Jose Cabrera. So I've got a new feature on the stream now, and if you behave yourself, you get a Polly. If you do a really funny thing, you get a Polly. But I don't want to be putting them out all the time, or it's going to devalue the Polly. But if you do something, if you say something, well, frankly, you're gonna get a Runcie. A Runcie is a hey now. Frankly, I already got one today. Those are going to give out like the wind. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Jim, for posting that again. Okay, so here's our little cat having a moment. It's a really mean way to draw a cat, but it's part of our story. All right. So, so here's the cat, and then from here on, it's going to be disgusting. I'm just letting you know. It's good to inform people. That's pretty great. That's pretty great. How true, huh? Oh, here's another good one. Shark with a lisp would say, I don't want to get thick and tired of Polly. All right. It's a fun one. This is a really fun one. As far as it goes for, I'm going to try to write these all down as I go. But it's a really fun question today because it just sort of automatically makes your brain sort of go, hey, let me think of, there's a little something to that, right? I'm going to finish all the rest of the body of this cat. We had an interesting conversation already about the play on words that is Cat and Pace's name, online name. And Frank found out that Cat doesn't have cats. She is a cat. How did you learn to handle the keyboard? It's not, my cat hits the keyboard all the time. Wait a minute. No. I got it. Her name is Cat. That's still cool. I'm an idiot. Oh, I still left that up. I'm so sorry. Okay, so here's our Gacky cat. And so the third image on this page is going to be a sound effect because I really don't want to draw a cat vomiting. It's already bad enough. I got the cat going on the panel, so. All right, so here's our guy. And there we're all set up for the next one. Okay, I doubt I will be here to verify any of these scientific suppositions. There's a thing that said that there's a belief that people that are in their 50s now may well see, on average. And when I say on average, I mean most Western countries at the very least. There's a belief that there's going to be a lot of people hitting 125, which is, yeah. I don't know what I'd look like at 125. Mr. Runciman, hey, and be that. It won't be glorious. Oh, you missed it. Whoops. Yeah. What do you want? Who? What? Yeah. Good luck to the poor nurses that have to move me around in an old folks' home. Let's hope I shrink a lot. Okay, so here is our cute cat that we're introducing so that we buy people into the page. Here's us making our cute cat do something horrible. And, you can only emulate so much of the cat's fur in the penciling or inking stage. I think a lot of it, ideally, I would do in colors. So, oh, there we go. Hold on, Rachel, you've done it. Hey now. All right. I think I'd look great in one still anyways. Anybody spit their tea out over that and cry a little bit? No, just don't even tell me that. No one needs to know. All right, so there's our second part. Now, this panel here, the intention for this space, right, is for the sound effect. And sound effects are always good for the things that you don't necessarily want to draw. Or sound effects are good for a greater implication to the things that happen in a page, because if I write whack as a person stepping out into a street in front of a bus, whatever goes on in your visual, consideration of that moment, that image, if I set it up well enough that this person's about to get creamed by the bus, it's always going to be more vivid than what I draw. Now, I can draw it, sure, for its own shock value, but your imagination is always going to be stronger and probably a little more graphic. So sometimes if you can set something up enough, instead of having a cat vomiting, if I have the and then gack, well, you filled that in yourself far better than I would have. Being 125 years old sounds about as much fun as coughing up a hairball. I agree with that entirely. Boy, oh boy, was that a rough Wednesday. Yeah, that's why I was away yesterday. So that's 125. No, wait, the other one. Yeah. Cruise ships will be so happy if everybody lives to be 125 years old. That's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun. Everybody will be living on cruise ships in 125 years because of global warming, and the water will be so high that most of the east and west coast will be flooded. So you have cruise ships named after cities, and they'll have like 50,000 people in them. That's a fun idea, actually. Okay. Mint granola. Pardon me. All right, so gack is the sound, and it'll be a little bit wet how I put the letters down. I've already got this idea in my head that it looks like kind of like a splattering sort of effect, which is nice and gross. But so now we've got our virtual phlegm ball character that's joined our reality. So, it's gross, but it's what it is, right? So I'm going to draw a shape, a rather nondescript shape. and yet it actually it's still going to have some resembling of whatever, cat yuck. But at the same time, we're going to turn this into something that suits us. So, because hey, welcome to Grossbell Population Us. I think that the cat would be cleaning itself, wouldn't it? Wouldn't a cat clean itself immediately after the fact? Will a cat clean up itself after the sick? Yeah. All right. So, give them the ears, and then we'll. Can you see that? Am I in camera? Okay. And again, the tongue comes out, but in this time, it's going to be to clean the paw and so on and so forth. I'll have the cat lie down. Nice and gross. The best stuff is gross. So I asked this earlier, but if anybody's joined us, the question is, where do you think science will be in 500 years? And if anybody has anything they want to talk about that they got coming up, like if they got a stream coming up, or if they've got a project that they're working on they want to chat about, or if they've just done something that you want to say to everybody, hey, look what I did, it's let us know. I kind of like the idea that we can share what each of us are doing on here. That works for me. So get the eye in. I realize that this is, I'm going to raise those ears up a little bit. There we go. Just thicken up that cat's head a little bit. And then we're going to have the other paw shoulder here. And then I'm going to push another panel over top. So where I've been keeping these panels relatively open today in the initial drawing stage, the idea is that in the finishing stage, we're going to put some panels around here, cutting in and giving some substance to the direction of the page, but without it, without having to put lousy lines in it, I just have to go over again anyways to clean up. All right, Rachel has just added something. It says she heard last night that AI is now creating itself and has learned how to lie to its human counterparts. We're found out. Whoops. Yeah, that's not great news. Where did you hear that? The National Enquirer. No, not. Where did you hear that? That's interesting. It's an interesting thing. It might be some fun to read there. Life-changing. They tried to, in Europe, there's a European Science Commission that has had to try to have all these countries sign a bill, a unilateral bill an agreement between all these countries that they're going to stop development on AI programs in order for these countries to, and for us generally as a species, to evaluate the societal implications of artificial intelligence. They want a 6-month embargo on study and research into it, which sounds good, but is not going to happen, right? It's just not. And even if you get all of those guys to do it, those guys over there aren't going to do it. But those guys over there aren't our friends. So if they're secretly researching it, we got to do it secretly too, right? From an interview at Boston University. All right, everybody. Form up on Boston University and kick those scientists' butts. If it was their lab, shut that lab down in case whatever they figured out there gets out to the interwebs. You go in there and you say to that guy, did you do this with those robots? And you go, what? What did you think we do with some robots there, pal? Insert wet lines from Good Will Hunting here. Jane's joined us. Hi, Jane. The question of the day, Jane, is where do you think science will be in 500 years? And do you have any announcements or anything you want to make today, too? Okay, so panel 3 is the business that is the cat sick, and then, which I realize is gross, and I may well change what's happening there. Blur it up. I might put a sign across it that says, you really don't want to see this, because things like that are funny to me. This is a really random page to be drawing a cat throwing at, but, you know. Oh, Gary's joined us as well. Hey, Gary, welcome aboard. Gary has a big announcement that he should feel free to make here to everybody about a development this week. The offer is put forward for anybody to tell any of their news. And at the same time, the question of the day from Mr. Jim Lujan, question number 377, I believe, is where do you think science will be in 500 years? And we'll be checking up on your answers. How? Don't quite know yet. This is a gross page to tune into. But we're taking this somewhere. Okay, so there's this image as it moves into our foreground. And the idea here being to put a sign over top that says, you really don't want to see what that came out of that cat. All right, Gary's announcement for everybody is that his third installment in the DVSM series, DVSM 1979, has gone to print. So this is Gary's third book. It has gone to print. It is very exciting, Gary. I'm really looking forward to it. Joshua Kremblinator says, science will be 500 years older. Yeah, which would put it into like its adolescent stage. And, oh boy, look out. Hey, thank you, Gary. And thanks for the good to see you back. I had a day yesterday, so I'm a little slow today, but you know, we're getting there. I hope that we keep our brains engaged in 125 years. So the idea of the science is projecting a lot of people that are in their 50s and upwards now are going to have longer, more prolonged life, and people in their 50s that may well be hitting 125. Maybe we'll finally figure out which came first, the chicken or the egg. Yeah. Well, how will we figure that out first? Or will we just suddenly discover the chicken egg or the egg chicken? Science will be on vacation in Peru. All scientists, all of them. Science will be on vacation in Peru. I'm writing that down. Science takes a vacation in Peru. And then cat and pasting it right down. 500 years. And then cat and pasting it right down. Well, yeah, in 500 years, we will have finally figured out what came first. Chicken or egg. These are lots of fun ideas. Good stuff. Oh, that's a congratulations for our good old Gary. That's very nice of you, Gary. We are all entitled to have a day. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. I gather you are drawing fur balls. Well, one. So the suggestion is a virtual flimball that lost its way to reality and forgot its lunch money. That's today's suggestion. So my initial idea for this is to draw a cat having a fur ball. So there's our flimball, and then away we go. So I want to do this random panel. I want to do this random image where I've got the flimball moving around. And then, of course, I'm going to put a second notice over top of this that says, really, you do not want to see this. Rachel's off. Hey, thanks for hanging out, Rachel. Good to see you. It's important advice that Jane's giving you there, Rachel. I hope you're going to write this one down. Yeah, this is Jose's idea. I made the mistake of showing him a suggestion that Jim had made, which was, I think Jim had initially meant as a joke of a horse riding a bicycle playing guitar on top of a fourth dimensional parallax. And then I actually drew that as a one-page comic. And so Jose said, oh, yeah. And you know me, I'm not going to walk away from it. Okay, so this is the wiggling yuck matter that's going to have another sign that goes over top it. What I mean by that is, like, if I've got this yuckity yuck drawn down here and the cat doing his business there, then I'm going to have a little sign saying, with a little sign posted over top of an announcement, folks, you really don't want to see what came out of that cat. And then because of this panel, and I'm going to have the cat's response be, oh my goodness, it's going to be another little secondary sign saying, I mean it, you really don't want to. Oh, I know, right? I think the chicken egg idea was Rachel's. Was it? Okay, I'll make sure I'll change that. Rachel's mad at me now. It was my chicken egg. Sorry, Rachel. Rachel's giving me so many great ideas. She's like an endless supply of ideas, that Rachel. And apparently so is that Kremlinator, huh? Utah Putty Tad. So basic, I had to read that. I did tell a Putty Tad. Suffering Thuckatat. Just reminds me of a recent gift I received from my cat the other day. When I first was raising my oldest cat here, a baby, who's 14 now, she when she was a little kitten, it was just every time I would come home from work, she'd be sitting proud as punch in the entryway. And there'd be her catch of the day. And this house that I lived in, what I didn't know was it had terrible amounts of mice every summer, from how the landlord had described it. And that was the first year that he lived in his house that it didn't have mice. And that's because Baby was very proficient at what she did, and she had at least 6 occasions where I almost whoa as I walk in my doorway. So yeah, cats are great sometimes. Okay, so let's get the wide open eyes going here. Actually, let me move it down so it's looking specifically at what's going on in the foreground here. That little divoting of the nose.
give this cat something to think about before it starts throwing up like that again. But the one cat baby there, she'll if she eats too fast, she gets sick. And so, and our other cat, Corbin, is my studio cat here. He doesn't always come up right away when it's time for them to have some soft food. So we have to actually keep it up away from baby, or she'll try to eat both of them, and that's when she gets sick. Some cats are dumb. That's basically what. Some cats are dumb. Yeah, and they're always so proud of themselves when they give you mice and whatever else. That's for sure. So I'm just gonna try to emphasis a little bit on cat expression here, without anthropomorphizing the cat. And then, of course, the details. There's that mark there, and then there's these bands, stripes that come in on the face. But and I'm not going to focus on anything else about the cat's form other than just this head, because the whole point of emphasis is what's in the foreground. Sometimes, I know as much as we want to draw the entirety of a cat or whatever else it is in a panel, it's not warranted. Like the necessity in comic storytelling is storytelling, right? So sometimes it's absolutely unnecessary to have to go and put in all those details and define the larger image. And sometimes because people want to do those more lavish drawings, those more complicated, oh, look at me shine on everything I do. Well, this is a problem with a lot of 90s comics, by the way, is that it takes away the point of what the story is and what the art is supposed to be facilitating, and that is the story in and of itself. So it's also a really good excuse to give yourself a break. Okay, so we've got our phlegm guy coming to life at this point. Jane has only one cat, and every day he tries to bury his food bowl by pawing up a floor mat. It's ridiculous. You have the cat eyes correct. What? Well, you gotta make the cat look at whatever it is looking at. Okay, so we're gonna switch angles now, and this allows us a transition of the angle on the page, as we've taken our focus from what the cat's done to what the cat has made. And then now with the movement here and the cat's looking at that, it's like an excuse for us to flip our position as viewer by focusing through the gaze of where the cat is looking. And now we can jump back over to drawing our virtual phlegm ball person. And who's going to say some dumb things. I made a note a couple of seconds before we started here about, this is a rude awakening. So that's how it's going to be. I was going to head out to see the world, but I forgot my lunch money. So let's do this instead. Literally 5 minutes before the stream. So, oh, ridiculous. So now we're the cat viewing the what's come out. Yeah. So, and I'm making it a little person, because anthropomorphization is a really great way for our audience to feel connected to what's going on. It's a really great way for the audience to engage in what's in front of them. So I'm going to make our silly little phlegm guy. I'm just trying to figure out, how do I want to draw him? Maybe I should do Captain Kirk. I don't. Scotty, I've showed up in the wrong place. Hey everybody, it's Philip. Hi Philip. Yeah, the secrets to life, the universe, and everything in it. Well, I'll let you know the end result. It's 42. Also, Gary has just taken his third book to print. He put his book into the printers. So happy days. We're all going to have an opportunity to pick up his new DVSM book. If anybody here hasn't had a chance to check out Gary's DVSM books, I highly recommend you do. As soon as they're available, please look into them because they're very good. They're very, very good. Just don't tell Gary I said that. Oh my gosh, this is brilliant. Anthropomorphized Glen Ball. Jim, if you're still here and looking for a good name for a band, I'll make you a poster for that band name. Oh my gosh, Philip. Oh my goodness. Where does one find them? Gary, if you want to tell people where they're going to be able to find your stuff, the two that you've done now and whatever you got, where they're going to be able to get the third one as soon as it's got some availability. Philip says congrats to Gary. That's pretty nice. Okay, so I'm keeping an eye on what my cat is doing, coincidentally. All right, so I'm going to do, I don't know. Yeah, let's do Captain Kirk. Let's do our Flamball as Captain Kirk. I had a chance to meet William Shatner. We had him as a guest at the London Comic Con because I'm the art director. I'll go to the green room, to pick up things for our artist guests. And so as I'm going into the green room, well, Bill Shatner's coming out, and so as I come out, he stops and he looks up at me. I think he's 5'8", 5'10", and I said, "Mr. Shatner, I'm a big fan." And he looks me up and down. He goes, "It's always good to have big fans," and just walks right past me. Man's always on, always on. Jane prefers Psychedelic Doobie as a band name, Jim. You might have already had a Psychedelic Doobie. Drawing Kirk would be awesome. Well, it's going to be Kirk Yak, but, now send this to him. Yeah, Captain. I've already got 5 of these. Yeah. Is this weird or what? All right, so let's do his little high pants here. He's got his pants tucked into his boots. All right. So yeah, Philip, the question of the day is, where do you think science will be in 500 years? That's our magical question of the day. Didi sent a picture to Bill commemorating his space flight. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like stuff like that. That's always kind of fun because it's nice to be able to engage with the people who's you respect their work, whatever it is, and so when you have an opportunity to engage with them and share that what you do in your own creativity, and it's always nice, especially if they're reciprocous to the idea, and say, well, hey, thank you, I appreciate that very much. Yeah, a macrame version of my head. Oh, that's fantastic. I'll treasure it always. That's not what Didi made, I know that, but and at the same time, it can get a little weird. It can get a little weird for these people. Hence the macrame, of my head. One is that I know for a fact that a television personality, they've been in a number of years on TV, he received a macrame version of his head. So, someone I knew in London was related to Shatner. Apparently, he used to visit him a lot in London. Well, I mean, Shatner cut his teeth and got into acting at Stratford Theatre, just in Stratford, Ontario here. So yeah, he does have relations in the area. Billy Connolly comes around here too, because the fellow that Billy Connolly used to play his folk band that he was in before he got going. I think it's something tells me in my head it's Jerry Rafferty or something like that. But he lives outside of London, so he comes here to golf while they're down. Sean Connery's golfed here too. It's kind of, we got some decent golf courses in London. Not very big ones, but decent ones. Shatner is at least was a Canadian. I'm not sure. I guess macrame version would be better than macaroni art version. You take that back, Kat. Nothing is better than macaroni art. All right, so here's our little. Okay, so because we're going to do this as like a pastiche of Captain Kirk, but I need it to still look kind of like the Flemmy kind of a color, because I've decided that. So I'm going to have him as I'm doing the contour to be Shatner, but the way to sell it is behaviorally, right? Because if you're you can do the contours of somebody all you like, but if you can't get those personality bits and their things that they would say, the catechistic phrases that they do, and then it's not going to sell anyways, unless it's just like a really specific likeness of Shatner. All right, so here he is. He's going to be dripping and it's going to be in the same color as the doodah gloppy glop glop there, and official term, scientific term. There was I don't know if anybody here has seen Rocky Horror Picture Show. Absolutely brilliant play, absolutely brilliant film. But if you pay attention at the end of the thing, when Frankfurter is about to turn on his device, everything he describes, all the scientific terms that he uses for the steps that you have to turn on this device, is all complete nonsense. There's a sonic oscillator, and I think I'm trying to remember. I think the other ones are liquid hydrator or something like that. But a sonic oscillator is just sound that goes around. A liquid hydrator is just it's water. Like, it's just like the dumbest things. Philip says he lives in the U.S., but he still has Canadian citizenship. There we go. Thank you, Philip. Come down off that hill now. Stop looking in his backyard at his ID. Man, you got there fast. Okay, Philip, so the question's still open for you. Where will science be in 500 years from now? And if you want to see some of the things that are already covered, heaven forbid he says the same thing. That'd be actually interesting if you said, how about this? And it's like the exact idea that somebody else suggested. Groupthink. You can see all the ones that other people have said if you scroll up through the chat. Okay, so here's our guy. So now I've got to have him kick open the thing, right? Just big words for mundane things. That's exactly what those terms were in Rocky Horror, for sure. Like a domestic engineer. I'm a house husband. That's what I say. Is I've embraced the way of the house husband, and which makes my wife laugh, because I work from home and I do this stuff around the house. I have never seen Star Trek or Star Wars. Should I leave now? No, Kat, you can stay. But let me explain to you where have you been? Girls go to Mars to get more chocolate bars. Anyways, I'll explain it to you really simply, Kat. So there's this kid, and his uncle decides to move away, right? And so he leaves his kid as, hey, you inherited my place. I know I'm not dead yet, but I know that I'm going to move away for good, and you can have this property. And so the kid with the property, he also inherits like this really fancy family kind of a ring, which he thinks is a family ring, but it turns out his uncle stole it. And so, without too many spoilers, and then so this buddy of his uncle's tries to say, hey, keep that safe. Don't let anybody get at that. And then the next thing you know, he shows up and he's like, get some friends and get out of here. There's some people coming to steal your uncle's thing. And so they go for a really long walk and meet a bunch of other guys, and all this other extra stuff happens. It's really not important, but eventually the kid wrecks the ring. Like, the whole thing ends with, I think the moral of the story of Star Trek, Star Wars is kids don't appreciate the gifts that you're given. Oh yeah, there's a guy who's fire and shadow, which is really weird. Wait a minute. What is this? Where will science be in 500 years? Not where you be in 500 years, Philip. Wrong story. What are you talking about? Lines blurring. The lines between reality and VR will be blurring at that point. Jane, what are you talking about? Of course it is. That's what? No. Really? How can I confuse those two things? Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, sorry, Kat. Let me try again. Star Trek is about this. Okay, so there's this kid and his uncle, right? Bear with me. Most of these stories all have the same structure. There's this kid and his uncle, and because their uncle and the aunt that were watching them, well, they can't watch them anymore. I'm not going to get into it. It's the whole thing. And so then they go and hire this other dude and his dog, right? And he's got this sort of like, it's a space Winnebago. And so he's like, hey, let's go. We got someplace to be. And he's like, well, it's going to cost your money if you want to be out here. And so they go anyway. So where they're going, they can't actually go to because it's no longer there, because, things get ruined all the time. And so long story short, they end up running around like a bunch of goofballs. And then a kid, he gets a 1 in a million shot and takes it. That's Star Trek. And then the other one has a guy who's got green guts, and he goes, nanu. That's Star Wars. Philip said that's where science will be, where virtual reality and reality will start to blur. Probably. What in the world, Jane? They are. All stories are exactly the same. They're pretty much the same. At least I'm pretty sure of it. It makes me so happy that you got that. You can ask Jane. That one was right on the money. Yep, right on the money. You're not going to hear a better rendition of what were you talking about? Battlestar Wars? Something like that. Yeah, you could just tell it, just lie, Kat. Just lie to everybody and tell them you saw it. And then you saw the sequel of it too, where, in the sequel, the kid, like, he's in a space truck, and it like lands on Earth, or like crashes on Earth, and it's kind of broken. So he's got to build his own phone and call his uncle again. Remember the uncle? And I was like, hey, come and pick me up. And he has some adventures with some kids. It's kind of a whole different direction than the previous one, but right. Oh, and when you go now, he can drink water out of a glass. Battlestar Galactica. No, that's a whole different one. The story's exactly the same, though. Okay, so I'm going to have our guy, I'm going to do a Titan panel. Let's see. Battlestar Galactica is about a kid and his dog. These are all around the same time period, Cat, so they're all really similar stories. There's about a kid and his dog, and he's playing a video game at like a local variety store where he works. And some dude comes in a limousine. He's like, hey, kid, man, you're good at that video game. Here's a spaceship. And so then he goes off and, there's a couple other guys. One of them has a cigar, and they're like zooming all around the place. And they land on a spaceship that's on the edge of this, big, thing in space. And it's going around and around and around. And they're going to get sucked into it. And there's some floating robots. I might have watched too much sci-fi when I was a kid. I've always been fascinated. Thank you, Philip, for pulling us out of my lunatic mind. I've always been fascinated with the idea of the resource-based economy. It'll never happen, but I like the philosophy behind it. Isn't that Star Blazers? Actually, it was Star Blazers, Black Hole, Battlestar Galactica, and The Last Starfighter. Oh, and E.T. all at once. I just meshed them all together. Now you've seen all of them, Kat. You're good to go. You're good to go. I just giving you all sci-fi at once. Also, there's a kid that can turn into a giant robot and he fights against kaijus. Kaijus or Godzillas. He just fights Godzilla. Just say he fights Godzilla. Okay, so so this is the thing about silhouettes. If I'm going to draw our phlegm, so one of the things that we can do is draw the form, and then, but you got to be considering, basically, brain is hamburger here. You got to be considering that the fact that the shapes and the movements and the parts of the body, you can't have all this detail happening here if it's a silhouette, because nobody knows I'm fiddling with the device. Well, nobody knows that. You got to have him turn and have the device held up so that, now it looks like he's fiddling with the device, right? As opposed to diddly-diddly-doo. So I'm going to have our Captain Phlegm stand over here. Let's name him Clem, anyways. Clem the Phlegm. Yeah, Clem. Yeah, that's good. Good stuff. Good ideas. That was everything, everywhere, all at once. Yeah, that's about donuts. Now, this is useful info. Now I don't have to answer the question, where have you been with? In prison. Hello. I hope that when you say that to people, you just get all quiet and serious and go, in prison. Yeah, do that, Kat. Your kids will love it. Whenever I've had to tell my kids or my grandkids even bedtime stories, that's just what I do to them, by the way. I just ham hock, smash together whatever ideas I think of and try to make that's a narrative, and the kids will actually sit there, and then of course the grandkids do it too, where they'll actually pick it apart and go, Grandpa, that's E.T., or Grandpa, that's Aladdin, No. It's the same. It's a different. It's just a different story here. It's Grandpa, that's this. Yeah. All right, so we've got our guy. He's got his little phlegm hand, clem de phlegm. And so I'll have him. I gotta have him standing dramatically because he's Captain Kirk. It's easy to draw phlegm when you think about it in the long run, because it's just a lot of silhouettes. All right, so now that I've got I'll clean this up. I'll do this hashing a little bit better, but we're at 140, and I'm going to wrap up in a couple minutes because Az is tired. Okay, so the virtual phlegm ball lost its way to reality and forgot its lunch money. So at this point, what I need to have it do is to call out the cat. And so a way I can do that is to flip that camera around again. And let's try to put the cat. We'll have the cat looking down at him. Okay. And we'll change the angle of the ears. Right? Think about the shape and the cat's face, the old face-a-rooney. And then there's his little nose as he's looking down. Right? And so we'll have the cat standing over top of Clem the Phlegm. And in that way, it suggests that that there's still that allocation of space in the page. So, Philip, you have to get ready for work. Well, dress snazzy, Philip. Dress snazzy for the kids. Snazzy. Say that. Say that 3 times fast. Snazzy. All right. So I'm going to draw. So I'll draw the cat in. This is my really basic looking cat. I hope that any cat aficionados are looking at this going, oh my God, that's the worst cat I've ever seen. Just stop it. I'm doing my best. All right, so how do we get that big fat cat butt? And then we'll put his the tail, because with the previous images, his tail's not in there, right? It's going to drop down. The shoulder's got to come up higher. In the previous images, his tail hasn't been in there, so there's a whole language in cattail movement. So you got to make sure that the cat's tail waves along the top there. It's thank you, Philip. That's very nice of you to come and join us. And come on and hang out tomorrow if you're up for it. Thanks very much for your well wishes. I appreciate that. Okay, so now we have to have our Clem the Phlegm, who's, standing here, legs spread, dramatic. I'll give his feet shapes there. And then, of course, around him is going to be that puddle of, effluence. And then, so what I'll do is I'll put his head here. And I'll put his arm out here. Because remember, this is still silhouetting, right? So we want to have the recognizable limbs. So as I have him here, I'll have the other hand pointing up at the cat. And this is where these random lines that I came up with before the stream started of, oh, that's how it's going to be? Oh. So there's 2 ways I can do this now. The next panel, I can have the phlegm guy. We have to figure out a way to have his hands up like he's going to box, right? As he's suggesting, I came here to check out your reality, but I forgot my lunch money, so let's do this, right? And then I can either do that, space that over these two panels, or I can have that in this panel, and then the following panel or the final panel for the page can be the cat going, huh? What? So if anybody has any thoughts on that, let me know. So we're going to reverse that camera angle again, because that's what editors love, is when you just keep jumping shots. This is a thing and that I've talked to a couple of people that said, you shouldn't do that. I'm like, why? Tell me why. Because in film, the reverse shot's completely fine. But for some reason, they think that you shouldn't do that in comics because it confuses people. And I said, well, then those people are generally confused. That was my whole rebuttal. Well, I get confused when I read it. And then I just went quiet. And so that's when that conversation went south. Okay, so if I think about the upper anatomy form, there's foreshortening. So that is one leg is in the fore. See, but this is the part where you can subtly suggest it that this leg is smaller because of the thickness of the legs. So that's, we can subtly suggest foreshortening like this. So here comes if I'm going to have this arm out in the elbow in the fore, it still has to be recognizable that his hands are up. And so because this is tight to the body, because that's how that pose does it, Jane says that's not confusing. Oh, well then, thank you, Jane. You're my people, Jane. Okay, so then the other arm has to come up. So now, hopefully, that comes across as hands are up. And because of the foreshortening, then hopefully that carries over that this is from the perspective of the cat, so that the cat is looking down at this thing that has come out of it, and it is now trying to pick a fight. Now that I say it out loud, this is ridiculous. Okay, and so that last shot will be the cat. I don't know how to do this. Have the cat's head look sideways, or to tilt the cat, or I can just have the cat. Just it's a challenge of trying to emulate too much emotion in a cat's face to be recognizable human. It's called anthropomorphization. The problem with that is that it stops being a cat and it starts to become cartoon cat, right? So how would a cat respond to something that it doesn't quite understand? There's a couple of ways that we can do this. I mean, I could have the cat walk off, which is a common cat behavior, right? Jane says you have to do some kind of Kirk rage thing. God, we better explain this to Cat. Okay, so Cat, Kirk, Captain Kirk. So he's on this big ship that has, these younger guys that all get in the little airplanes, and they fly off and they're fighting against all these robots. And then every time something happens, he trips, or there's a space bucket in the way, and he kicks it or whatever it is. He always stops and shouts, "Khan!" like this. It's really dramatic. Oh, and the robot spaceships look like a couple of pyramids, like one on top of each other with a stick in between them. Smack them, throw them in the air to play with them. It's tricky to do in one panel, though. I mean, at the most you could have one action, knocking over or flipping up or knocking down. So a cat would do that, but this cat could also just, I'm leaning towards walk away. I'm leaning towards just turn and walk. Because, that's what my cats would do. You can clean this up. So I think, you know what, actually? If we have the cat walking away, okay, So as the cat is on its way, this way, we can draw the owner in behind the cat, right? And so we can have our Captain Kirk character, or Captain Kirk Phlegm, with his hands on his hips, like ha ha ha. And but we can have the owner of the cat go, "Honey, the cat threw up," which is a totally mundane response. And sometimes that turn of this is more and more outlandish as we go. And so sometimes flipping the narrative completely the opposite way into mundanity. Honey, the cat's thrown up. Like, this is an everyday experience for the cat to throw up a Captain Kirk. So I think maybe that's what I'll do. And then to add insult to injury, I'm going to have the owner have his hands on his hip the same way that the Phlegm does. And so as the cat walks towards the owner, maybe I'll even have this cat, I'll draw it a little smaller and have the cat rubbing up against his leg. Yeah. Honey, you got a mess here. That's basically what it's saying. Honey, the cat threw up. It's like, there's a really funny sketch comedy I saw that Nick Frost was on. I think it's just before he did Shaun of the Dead and all those films with Simon Pegg. And he opens up the fridge and he drinks the last bit of milk out of the jug, and he goes, and he puts it back in. He goes, honey, we're all out of milk. And then he literally puts the container back in the fridge and closes the door and walks away. Like, you don't need, that is so lean. You don't need anything else for that bit. Like, that is so on point. That's so perfect. It's like one snippet of a moment that just sells everything you could possibly have in that dialogue between the husband and wife. Because anybody that knows, they know, right? So yeah. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to have the owner standing here with his big giant feet. And again, because we've established identifiable scaling for the size of the cat to the size of the Phlegm, if I have the cat rubbing around the legs of the owner, right, and looking back at its Phlegm between the, from behind the owner's leg, and I give that sense of scale here. So when you'll understand how far away this one is from this one. And you'll understand how big he is in relationship to the cat and relationship to the Phlegm guy. Right? Jane says, it's your job, LOL. I find it those situations when one person has that little consideration for the other person they live with. You know how that's going to go. Come on. That's never going to go well for the two. So. All right, so I'll just clean up all of these panels as we got them laid out and get this some color on this and get this posted for tomorrow. I'm going to sign out for today. It's a longer night I actually thought to be on, but I'll be back at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Tomorrow, there's a whole bunch of suggestions that we got through the stream today, through our chat today. And in addition to that, if anybody else has any other ideas that come to mind, let me know. Put them in the comments for the video, or on the Facebook or Instagram post that I put out for today's page if you want, and we'll go with that. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go and have a nap. And I hope you have a great day, and I'll be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Thanks, everybody. I look forward to seeing whatever anybody's working on, so please feel free to share. Take care. Thanks, Kat. Thanks, Jane. Thanks, everybody, for coming and hanging out. This is, there we go. Great stream. Thank you. Yeah, no, I need a nap. I'm still not feeling on top of the world, so. All right, I'll see everybody at 2 o'clock tomorrow that wants to come and hang out. In the meantime, have a great day. Bye for now.